Hello and good morning, friends. Today I want to show you why it's important not always to go with the cheapest contractor, because you could end up in the same situation as this particular person. So let's go ahead and get into it. So what's going on? Big story is that we have a pipe that's kind of gone a little cattywampus on us, right? And in order to understand exactly why this is an issue, we kind of have to take a little step back and kind of discuss a little bit about what are septic systems and how are they supposed to be installed. First and foremost, a septic tank is just a big concrete box, right? This particular one is going to be a two-chamber system. So you're going to have a front, partition, back. And what will happen is, as you flush the toilet, run the sink, bathtub, all that good stuff will go to the tank. A majority of the solids will get stuck in the front. The wall in the middle will keep all the floating stuff, the scum, from getting into the back, and it'll fall out of suspension again and go off and into the absorption system. In this particular circumstance, what we're dealing with is a two-chamber tank, right? With a manhole riser front and back. Now, we don't have the county records, so we don't know exactly when this thing was installed, but we do know that they've been having a lot of clogs. And so we come over to try and figure out, well, what keeps causing these clogs? That way we can get this dealt with, and so we don't have to deal with this anymore. And so we get there, we take a look at the tank, and we see that the front of the tank is completely underwater, and the back of the tank is not. So first thing is, why? When a septic system's installed, basically you want the inlet line to be slightly higher than the outlet line, so that way gravity can do its thing, the water can work its way in, solids fall out of suspension, and then the water works its way out into the absorption system. This particular tank, the back line, which is the pipe exiting the tank between the distribution box and the tank itself, is cockeyed like this. So it's actually going to have an increase in height compared to the inlet side. Because of this, it's causing the system to back up. Now, you might be asking, why would that happen? How does that happen? The usual suspect reason for this is just sloppy install work, right? So let's just say that they didn't leave enough soil underneath of it, they didn't pack it right, didn't lay the pipe right, you backfill it and there's a little gap and the pipe kind of falls down and it kind of cockeyes a bit. Another one could be that they messed up on their depths and they had to angle the pipe in order to connect it to the line leading to the distribution box. Both are not good answers, right? Both mean that somebody screwed up the pipe and you're gonna have to dig it up to get it done correctly. I have seen this happen with back lines that are made of Orangeburg pipe, that black, real nasty pipe. This particular pipe is PVC, right? So it's a little bit more rigid, more reliable compared to Orangeburg. Orangeburg is the worst pipe you could possibly get. But I've seen with Orangeburg where it'll kind of collapse on itself and that'll cause the piping to kind of angle up a bit. In this particular circumstance, I think it's just a bad install. So let's go take a look outside and we'll see what's going on in the tank. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about like what are the repercussions of doing nothing. So unfortunately, we have to go inside of all of these large bushes, which is basically surrounding the entire tank, in order to actually see what's going on. So I'm not a huge fan of these kind of bushes being around a tank. If you're going to have service done on your property and you want to have something to conceal your system, it's a really good idea to go ahead and trim these things back prior to having the service contractor show up and them having to fight with all these bushes. So that's why I'm wearing the hoodie, so I don't get scratched up with all this nice leafy grass. So let's take a look inside the tank and see what we're working with. All right, so what we're looking at right now is actually the inlet side. So we can see here, this is our inlet pipe from the tank. You see how the water is completely covering the pipe? All that debris right in the middle, that is basically clogging material. So what happens is, if you do nothing, over time, the toilet paper, hair, solids, stuff like that, it's gonna get stuck in here because it can't fall out of the pipe. And that's what's gonna keep causing our clog at this point specifically. Now, let's say you do nothing about this. What'll happen is more solids will get stuck in the pipe leading to the tank. If you start to continue having solids get stuck in the pipe leading to the tank, it's going to be more and more tedious to get the solids out, especially for this particular house because it's an early 1900s home. It's a crawl space with a really, really small window to walk into. So that makes it really tedious to get your machine in there to dislodge the clog. So now let's go take a look at the outlet side of the tank so we can see what's causing this high water level. So if we look inside the back of the tank, we'll see that there's quite a steep incline to that pipe. You see how it's kind of sticking up out of the water? Well, so what's happening is, because this pipe is higher than the other pipe, it's making the water level in the tank rise in order to outflow of the tank itself. Because of that rise, it's causing a backup on the other side of the system. So now we know what is causing our clog. Now we need to make sure we go about discussing how do you fix it, right? And what's the ramifications if you do nothing. So we already know they've been having issues with clogs, right? And the reason why is because that water level is too high. It's causing clogs in the front baffle as well as the inlet pipe into the system. So the standard way that we usually would go about fixing this is you would dig up on the rear of the tank, cut the pipe, relay the piping to get it to where it goes out at the correct height and is not kind of doing that, right? You could make an argument that you could attempt to just cut the piping in the tank, but once you affix a baffle to it, you're still going to kind of run into the same issue. You might have a little bit of space that you could work with, but that's not really the best way of going about dealing with this situation. It's not really the best way of going about dealing with this situation entirely. So I always anticipate whenever you have something like this that you're just going to end up having to dig up the pipe, fight with it anyway. Now, let's talk about how does something like this happen and go unnoticed during the permitting process. Well, when you're having a septic system installed, usually the county is going to be involved for basically the entire process. You do run the risk, however, if they're not paying attention as the sanitarian, or maybe it's cold, maybe they don't feel like getting out of their car, maybe it's wet, they're gonna just kind of sign off on literally whatever. And most of those guys aren't really gonna look at the outlet side. They're gonna look at the stuff in the home when they're doing a rehab. For some reason, the septic guys, we always get kind of put in last place when it comes to importance on the county's opinion. Now, that's not to say that we don't get any kind of oversight, because septic systems are very important, right? It's very important to make sure that you have everything done correctly so that we don't have to worry about contaminating a well, contaminating somebody else's water source, the groundwater, or creating just any old public health hazard in your yard if sewage starts going everywhere. So it's very important to make sure that the licensed contractor knows what he's doing, and he also has done it before. Again, cheapest guy is not always the best guy, because this process has been costing so much time, energy, and pain for this family, all because somebody couldn't install the pipe correctly. So, lesson to be learned here is hire somebody who knows what they're doing. Don't cheap out. It's not worth it at any point in time. Leave a comment below though. Tell me, have you as a homeowner ever had to deal with something like this on your septic system? Did you ever have a pipe issue from an install? Did somebody just not do their job correctly? Maybe you were also having clogs and you ended up being in the same situation. Leave your story below. Tell everybody what's happened to you, what's going on, so that way maybe your story could help somebody else navigate the process, right? The goal here is to start a conversation, right? We're not just throwing shade at whoever installed this thing originally, but we're going to make sure we get everybody fixed up and good to go. If you enjoyed content like this, if you gained any value from this conversation, make sure you hit that like button. Hit subscribe. I have more videos posted every day on the world of well and septic. I never know what I'm going to walk into, and anytime I come across something interesting like this, I want to give you guys the opportunity to see what we're dealing with, what our diagnosis process is, and what kind of shenanigans do we find in this lovely world of well and septic. I look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow.